So in going with my theme this week, I'm going to be talking about another Kirby game tonight, Kirby Superstar, and technically Kirby Superstar Ultra, first for the SNES, and the second is a remake of it for the DS. I added the remake in there as well because it's worth noting that A, it is a very well done remake, and B, it is everything I personally want to see in a remake. You know, I've talked about this many times before. When you do a remake, if you do a port, as long as you at least touch it up, give it the feeling that you actually bothered to go back and recode it, like with the Star Fox 3D review, one of the very first reviews I did that I was doing in the video format like this, I mentioned that I liked it because they actually went back and rebuilt the graphics engine and redid the audio and actually rebuilt the game, at the very least from about the halfway point and up, so that it could be properly remade. There's not a lot of extra content, which is unfortunate, but that was still well done. Now, this is what they did with Kirby Superstar as well, or rather, Superstar Ultra, because the same basic game engine had to be touched up and redialed because the Kirby Superstar used a code, which I'm trying to think of what the name of that thing was. It was the SA1 chip. That's what it was called. It was something they used on only a few SNES games, including Super Mario RPG, just to name one. That enabled the game to do some things that it wouldn't otherwise be able to do, and I'm not going to go into the details because I don't want to be boring like James May. But the point being, because Gary constantly seems to be postulating that I am in fact James May in disguise, I certainly have the hair for it. Point being, the Kirby Superstar was a SNES Kirby game. It was my personal favorite game of the Kirbys. I personally think that there has never been a better Kirby than Superstar, or indeed Superstar Ultra. Obviously, Superstar Ultra I do think is better because it's a proper remake. They did add more content. They added a whole new mode of playing through just as the Meta Knight, all the different stages and all the different areas as Meta Knight and all that fun stuff. It was really enjoyable. But one of the things I really liked about that game was its variety was significant enough that you could forgive its duration. Now, let me try and explain this a bit. Any platform... let's actually take one more step back. Any video game that is not an RPG, by definition, is going to be shorter than any game that is, right? And that's just kind of the standard that exists. Any game, you know, Final Fantasy IV is hard to compare to Mega Man 3, which is a better game. Now, admittedly, that's actually kind of a bad example because FF4 is a better game, but Mega Man 3 is a fantastic game and should not be downgraded just for the fact that you can beat it in half an hour if you're really trying, right? It's still incredibly enjoyable. It's just that has to be factored in consideration. With Kirby, again, it's a platformer, right? And any standard Kirby is not going to be that long. You know, Kirby's Adventure on the NES was not exactly a long game. So Kirby for the SNES always at the same time felt shorter and longer because of the fact that it was a split up game. The way they did it was they had they had all sorts of little mini games basically, and it was essentially worlds for all functional purposes. You had the Spring Breeze game, which was, I'm sorry, no, actually they had yes, Spring Breeze was first. I'm sorry, yes. Spring Breeze was first. You had the whole little thing, and it's this standard Kirby plot. You're going after King Dedede because he stole a bunch of food. Stole a bunch of food. I can speak English. And once you got him, it unlocked the Dynablade one, which is the name of a massive condor or bird of some kind. And you'd go through that thing, and that was a little bit, it would give you a little hub. You could go to the next stage up here, over the, you know, like the old world maps of Mario 3, for example, or Super Mario World. And then they had the Revenge of the Meta Knight, which was fantastic, which I loved the heck out of, and was timed on top of everything else, which was actually added a wonderful level of difficulty to the whole thing, and they actually had dialogue and a plot that was unfolding as you go, which I really enjoyed, I might add. And then you had the Milky Way Wishes, which was the finale, so to speak, where it all came together and you found out, oh my gosh, and you saved the cosmos, all that fun stuff. I'm being a little vague because it's hard to really describe a platformer in specifics without just being boring. So there's this one stage that's ice-based, and you go along and the floor is going to be slightly slippier because it's ice-based, and, you know, there's no interest there, so I'm trying not to get into the boring stuff like that, but point being, the games were spread out enough that, like I said, each game individually felt like it was like, whoa, you just breeze through 10, 20 minutes, but then there would be another one, and then there would be another one, and they also had the Great Cave Adventure, which I personally really liked. I admit I have always sort of enjoyed treasure hunting, exploring, gathering, that sort of thing. That's one of the original reasons I got into the Pokemon series, for example. And so having a little mini game where there's a whole area that I could go through in any order or direction I want. It's not a stage per se, so much as it is a realm. I could traverse through it at whatever pace I feel like, and find all the treasure hidden throughout the whole realm. And you know, there's plenty of references there too. You know, Link's sword was there, and honestly, I don't remember any of the rest, but there was plenty of little references to other games. I think Samus's S-Ball was there from the Metroid series. You get the idea. And it was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the heck out of it back in the day. Especially with friends, which is the other big thing. As I mentioned in my other Kirby review this week, cooperative play has always been a big deal for me, and the SNES era was when I really got to enjoy playing co-op, because I actually had friends who had SNESes, and Vincent and I and Joel and I would, or Vincent and Joel and I would get together at one of our houses with the SNES, and we'd all have these games, so we could just pop it in and start playing, and this was one of the ones we played, and it was really enjoyable going through because the way it worked in Superstars, I love this feature. Kirby games, you eat an enemy, and then you absorb their powers, right? The way it worked in Superstars is you pop them out, and what pops out is a copy of that enemy, which has their own unique little ways of functioning, their own unique abilities, basically. It's not a huge difference, but it was a significant enough change, and you and Kirby can interact with each other and do different moves and combinations and things that you wouldn't otherwise be able to do. It was really enjoyable. And it added a wonderful flavor to the game, especially since, when I played through the remake, I managed to do so with a friend on the DS. Now, I have to admit, it is a downside to the game, and that's the fact that on the remake, you both have to have a DS. I actually never played around with download play, but I never saw an option for that. You both have to have a DS, and you both have to have a copy of the game. That's kind of unfortunate, to be quite honest with you, but oh well, what are you going to do? So I will rate it down for that. And I will rate it down for the fact that it's kind of a short game, as indeed I have to rate all platforming games down because they're short games. There's no avoiding that, However, it is worth noting that it really personifies that very essence of what is Kirby. Again, like I talked about in my other review, Kirby games have always been about fun. No difficulty, no challenge, no real hassle. It's just, I want to go and have fun for a while. I'm going to go over here and have some more fun, stuff like that. And that's probably the most poor representation I've ever given of fun in my entire life. But my point is, it's stress-free fun, if that makes any sense. Now, I speaking personally, I do understand how things that are challenging, things that are engaging, things that really require you to think, things that really require you to have skill, these things can be challenging and fun, right? But stress-free fun is a completely different type of thing. There is no, oh my gosh, I'm going to die. There is no frustration added because you messed up and you have to start over. There's none of that. There's just go and play. Now, obviously, that type of fun is always going to be limited because that, in my opinion, that sort of, easy fun just isn't going to last. The appeal of that comes and goes, and that's why Kirby is always this particular Kirby game I rate higher than anyone else, because with the different sub-stages, and each one taking 10 to 20 minutes to play through, that's perfect for able to just pop in and play. And I have to say, one thing that is a downside of any RPGs is if you just want to hop into an RPG and play, it doesn't really work that way. It's like, okay, where was I? Okay, I was just about to go back to the Heaven Falls. Okay, hang on, no, I still need to do that quest on the east side. I forgot about that. And then I need to go to Dagros' camp and go north and then check that one axe. Oh, I still got to get the whips from the... there's just a complication. You can't just hop into an RPG and play it. Most people that I know, and I've seen this in a common place on the internet and on forums and stuff as well. Most people, I think, are the same boat as I am, where we don't like to just drop an RPG in the middle and then pick it back up. When we pick that RPG back up, we're like, and for whatever reason, just start it over again, start over from the beginning. And that's why a lot of RPG players tend to be really well acquainted with the first, several hours of a game, and then they put it down for whatever reason and pick it up again, and they're like, and they start over again. You don't have that problem with a Kirby. You don't have a problem with most platforms, but Kirby especially. You can just pick that up and play it and have fun with it. Have fun with your friend if you feel like. Definitely a plus for the game. So, overall, I'm going to go ahead and cut this a bit short because I have to get going. It's a bit late on my shift, unfortunately. I know you wanted to hear me rant about Kirby some more. But bottom line, I would definitely rate Kirby Superstar. I have to, I'm going to have to think about this because I want to rate the games more or less as a whole. There's Kirby Superstar and there's Kirby Superstar Ultra. And everything that Ultra added, which it did add, don't get me wrong, is nonetheless offset by the fact that it is a little bit more limited in its cooperative play, which is one of the key features of a Superstar. I'm sorry, but it is a key feature of a Kirby. I mean, So bottom line, if I was really thinking about it, I would go ahead and rate Kirby Superstar and Superstar Ultra combined as a grand total of about $40. Definitely a good game, definitely worth picking up, and you actually can find it for significantly less than that on the SNES or on the DS Remake if you prefer. So I do recommend it. Feel free to check it out sometime.